So welcome. If you can recall, my last couple of Tip Tuesdays, I took a photograph, an old photograph, black and white, of Sean Connery back in his youth. And I showed you two ways to help with the accuracy of a drawing and getting realism and getting likeness. The first one, we're using grid lines, and then there was identifying shapes of dark shapes or light shapes, either one. I'm now going to do a bit of a demonstration. I just want to remind you of these. I'm going to remove those now, um, but I will be drawing the same uh, person, um, but I will be mentally using those grid lines to see how things line up. So first I use a vague, kind of the egg shape for a head. And this comes down over here. I'm staying very, very light at the beginning, which is how I like to do it. And I remember when the grid lines came, so it was down the side of the head lined up there. The eye, there was an eye that kind of lined up. There's his cheek over there. There's the other side of his eyes. These are very loose and very rough lines. I'm not trying for perfectness. And then there was these kind of horizontal lines. I'm getting those down, which are just helping me see where things go. So I like to get in some eye sockets. So this one eye socket kind of is around over here. And now using the dark, I'm just going to get something in there. Here's another one over here. Get that one in. There was a dark shape that came down here like this. So let's get that in. That's sort of part of his nose and the cast shadow of his nose. There's a thing up here that lined up about like that. This is sort of a dark like this. Okay, I'm still staying quite light. And then there was another one over here, a dark shape that came around like this, over like that, something like that. So get that in. There's another all down the side of the face. So this comes out. There's this dark shape over here, which is where his ear went. You don't see his other ear. Constantly checking with my guidelines. How am I doing with the relationships? And then I'm going to get this whole other dark shape that comes all the way down over here. So if that's the bottom of his nose and the cast shadow, that's this shape. Then there was the mouth shape, which is about like over here. Get that in. And by staying very light, especially with a pencil, I try not to use an eraser. I try and tell my students not to use an eraser as a way to really train yourself to pay attention. And this dark shape now, the cast shadow from his neck comes down over here and around. Okay, now that's all I'm really going to do for now. This is something I'm going to continue from week to week and show you how simply I can get by using just identifying large dark shapes like here and like here and like here and even here and here, and get those in the right relationship with each other. That will help me a lot, getting realism and getting likeness. And then it's those grid lines. I didn't do an exact measured grid, which is another option, but just seeing where the top of one eye lines up with the top of the other eye and the ear, etc., etc. So that's it for this tip. Please stay tuned. I'll be doing more of these each week.